Bu Nator Shil Yachad Nuwabakedi Waloy Maorwo, the pledge of the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. Ama Kakgemu Sefunut Hade Gedash Manuf, as I stand beneath our sacred and holy flag. Kanderu Ruki Maul Te Kehikano, Ama Kashgeru Zitaur. I vow to be loyal, obedient as I watch it fly. Ru Ganunwu Shil Manu Naonut Faref Nawus Weloinut, to the laws of our Constitution that govern our nation. Ru Hare Sabu Kahmelu Tubu Subhem, to this cause I hold my head up high. Akara Garur Kantero Ru Harus Hade Tahum, with pride I pledge to protect and defend. Kalu Akara Hare Walao Weloy Kalu Hanuf Hade Samur, all within this great nation, both family and friend. Ru Yankud Faref Karetkut Mu Adorhut Hagoyu, to ensure all has their equal rights. Ru Hare Sabu Kazur Gedu Atnachum, to this cause I will lay down my very life. Ama Kapdemu Tachuth Hare San Un Hade Gedash Danun, as I stand beneath this sacred and holy seal. Kanderu Nafusum Mewa Chelas Hade Kazut Menu Tiat Mewikanu Akara Khera, I vow myself loyal, sincere, and vow integrity with zeal.
So sitting next to you, or sitting behind you or front, so sitting next to you, you might be sitting next to Black Devil.
It states in Psalms chapter 82, verse 6, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
This is the Elder Raziel with a message for the children of the Elohim.
I walked a long journey on the short path, where after this mind expands math itself. Came through with the master teacher. Get wealth from what I have to teach you. Not a preacher, the Anunnaki created this creature, fully packed with features. Nuwabu knocking off leeches. Peace to Malachi, Ziyor, Noble Jew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, respect and pay homage. From the Anunnaki tribe, we hope to see you. We still kicking the flows, all the girls know. Just list the show so your mind grows toward a genetic explosion. X out whoever was chosen by deception to sell out Negro, the greatest destruction. Without question, knowledge is a weapon. Like Cain, ain't no half-stepping to a greater direction. This is your host, Mudhuta Hedokayu for Rit Nalej Radio, United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. And today is year 82, the 11th month of Satuk, the 4th week, and the 3rd day of Nunam Nir. All right, so this is the 18th day of the Nuwabian calendar. So keep that in mind. Tomorrow is the last day of the month, and then 2 days from now will be the 12th month, and that is the month of Heru. Right? Hence my last name, Hedokau. All right? You'll get the meaning on that later. So again, what's the Gregorian date for all of my non-Nuwabians? It is March 26, 2023, and it's a Sunday. It is a Sunday when I'm recording it. So, it's Sunday. For those who obey the Gregorian calendar. This is episode WEBCAST 41. The topic of the show is how important is your tongue and culture? Tongue meaning is the English word for language. Language is French. Right, so how important is that? How important is it to speak your own language, or to at least know your own? No excuses, you have to speak it. To break out of the oppression of the Caucasoid, whether that's England, Germany, Well, Italians really aren't. I mean, I guess they're Caucasoids, but they're not white in America. They also went through persecution, hangings, and beatings and stuff like that until they learned how to kiss the English, the superior Englishman's butt, and then he allowed them to call themselves Caucasians, but they don't really believe it. They just allowed it. And the same thing with the Irish. So, how is it? How important is it to know your own language? Because even Irish and Italians in America have pretty much lost all of that. They've pretty much lost all their, you got a lot of Italians that don't speak Italian in America. Or they're Italian, they're really Americans at this point. So, hence the question, how important is your tongue or culture? As I just explained, you got Italians pretending to be Englishmen. And the same thing with the Irish should really know better than try to be an Englishman. But England then done horrible things to Ireland, horrible, unspeakable things I won't even talk about in this show, man, or at least not this episode. They've done horrible things to the Irish even before the Moors. So, yeah, man. So, peace to the Irish. Hopefully they're all doing okay. At least the ones that aren't hateful toward me. So, let's get into it. Enjoy the music in the background. So, knowing your own language as a Nuwabian gives you the advantage to make plans and plot and to ensure your future without the enemy knowing what you're going to do. I mean, that's a major advantage, because I'm going to go off script here and just get into this, because imagine in the 60s and 70s with the Black Panther Party. Imagine if the Black Panthers spoke Nuwabic. Do you think the enemy could have easily picked them off? I don't think so. Or if not Nuwabic, a lot of those brothers thought they came from Africa, so speaking an African language. Just speak it. You know what I mean? Even though they need you, if you think you're from Africa, go ahead and speak one of them languages, because that will give you the upper hand. You need some type of advantage against the English Caucasoid, okay? They don't even know who they are anymore. They think they're Americans. They think this corporation has a culture. There's no culture in America. Why there's so much killing and idiocy, because the government's easily controlling these people, even their own people. Excuse me. They even control their own people. They don't even respect their own people. Now it's class warfare. It's class warfare. It's not really based. It's some based on racial. Yeah, I mean, it's still based on race too, and it's based on class. So given the language that's given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you should be speaking your own natural tongue. Even the language I speak now is the first language I learned to speak because of the oppressor. So that's evidence enough right there for you. Right? And I study the Al-Arabiyyat al-Lisan, right? The Arabic language. I'm studying that. Then after this year, I'm giving myself to study that, or probably the middle of this year, probably July, to finish up with the Arabic language, and I'm going back to Nuwabic. I feel like I'm forgetting Nuwabic, and Nuwabic is still being developed and created at this moment in time. So I suggest, if you are a Nuwabian, you call yourself a Nuwabian, most of you are not in the nation. So you're not officially a Nuwabian, but if you think you're a Nuwabian, then definitely study your language. Learn to form communities and all that, all right? What's next? Okay, speaking someone else's language, and only speaking that language, is a sign of servitude. And this doesn't just go for Moors, like I just mentioned. Italians, Irish, they don't speak Gaelic. If you speak English and that's all you speak, that's a sign of servitude, that your people were in servitude and possibly enslaved. right? That you don't have a mind of your own. You had to take the mind of the enemy and describe the world and think like your oppressor, like your enemy. That's why I don't get a lot of these so-called Negro historians. Though I like John Hendrik Clark, Ben Yakinen. I think Ben Yakinen did speak another language. But I know John Hendrik Clark did not. James Small, all these guys, they all speak English, man. You know, that's not good enough. Not good enough. If you're not living in commune, you're going to Africa, coming back wearing African clothes like you're some tourist, but you don't speak the language of the people at all, not even basic. Come on, give me something basic, brother. Give me a greeting or something. Explain how I can tell somebody in another country how to get something to eat, you know, which I'm going to do, right? Do something for me. Don't give it to me in English. Teach me something else. Teach me something that's going to heighten my soul, you know. I don't want to learn it in the devil's tongue, right? So that's not good enough now. It might have been good enough 30 years ago, but now we're to a point where we must come into our own, right? As Nuwabians, we are Moorish peoples across the planet, so we have tens of thousands of tribes and languages. So pick one. All right. Now, with everything going on in the world today, right? Russia, United States, China and Russia, they already have a treaty. They're already tight. Russia and China are tight. Even before they came out publicly a couple days ago, China is selling weapons to Russia. Of course they are. They're tight. They're like brother nations, right? So, excuse me, if you've been paying attention, they have a treaty that is unbreakable between those two nations, an alliance that cannot be broken at this day and time. And since America is losing power and the banking system is collapsing, it's over. You hear me? It's over. And with America falling implicates a lot of things for Western European nations that were using America as their shield, as their physical military shield. And that's why you see Germany, England, all these nations get on the United States as nuts, because the United States protects all of these nations. They protect them. Some Anglo-Saxon rule, English rule, they protect these nations. So if the United States goes, so does all the Western European nations go too. They're heavily invested in the United States for the military and all of that. You know what I mean? So once that dollar goes, it's pretty much over. Pretty much over. So they'll lie about it. Of course they're going to lie. Oh, the banking system is secure. So why are banks failing? They're failing stress tests from the central bank, the Silicon Valley Bank, SVB. They failed. They're a failing bank. They had to get bailed up by the government. It's over, right? And another bank failed. I forgot what it was called. Signify Bank. That failed. So it's coming. That's only the beginning. That's the very beginning of the collapse. You talk to any financial expert that's not influenced by the government, and they will tell you, any independent economist or financial expert, it's coming. The collapse of America is coming, and China and Russia they're just positioning themselves to take over. And now Saudi Arabian oil is sold in yuan. No longer just tied to the dollar. Isn't that wonderful? So God is speaking, Mother Nature is speaking, it's over for the United States. Stick a fork in them. They'll pretend, but it's pretty much over. And the elite are now positioning themselves with China, or trying to position themselves with China, but China, they're Asians, you know what I'm saying? The Han Chinese, they're not going to accept Caucasoids like that, especially after the Opium Wars, which they have not forgotten. That's why they flood the United States with fentanyl. They're getting back at you, Caucasoids, you know what I'm saying? The day of retribution from the Lord cannot be denied. So, and it's the nature of revenge. which every human being has human being has a right to. So yes, and talking about those world issues that have nothing to do with Nuwabians, Nuwabian Moors, stay in your lane. Don't get involved with this left-wing, American, even right-wing crap. Those are Caucasian institutions. Those are two Caucasian American parties. If you want to form an American party, form your own party. Don't get involved with these Caucasoid demons, okay? Stay in your lane. Build up your nation. Don't integrate into a burning house. Don't make the same mistake Martin Luther King did, right? Because when they started giving out drugs, the CIA, to the community, they experimented on their own people first, right? With all the Caucasians taking LSD in the 60s, and then they targeted our community in the 80s. So I guess it's really not a race issue. It's control. It's learning how to control. You got to understand, the CIA and the government. They look at people like rats. They look at people, especially people who don't think for themselves. Oh yeah, I'm going to get a COVID shot. Well, go ahead, and we'll see what that does for you. Oh, you're tired now all the time. Wow. You can't walk like you used to. Wow. Heart palpitations. Wow. I wonder where that came from. It's funny how all that came after you got the jab. Isn't that ironic? Didn't I try to tell you? Didn't Brother Mudhuta try to tell you the devil ain't trying to cure you? He's trying to make money off you. Now you got to get other drugs you got to pay for just to deal with the symptoms of the COVID cocktail, chemical cocktail. Because it's definitely not a vaccine. All right? Don't listen to the devil. Devil ain't got nothing for you. That's what the master teacher tried to teach all of us. Devil ain't got nothing for you. He ain't got nothing for you except misery. And you love him because he gives you nothing. All right. And then last thing I want to speak to y'all about is being comfortable in servitude. I think I might have talked about that, but, learning and living in the image of the beast. Eating what he eats, dresses like he dresses, speaking the same language that he does, and only speaking that language so you only think like a Caucasoid, which as a Moor is unnatural, right? So that's all I got to say about that, you know what I mean? And like I said, these shows will come out at least once every week on Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 o'clock Arizona Mountain Standard Time, which is the same as Pacific Standard Time, California time. So I bid all you farewell. Keep the master teacher in your heart. Amunubi Rahta. And we will catch you next week. Wadu.